So even though it's the case that Senator Bernie Sanders has been appointed to a leadership position in the Democratic Party, I think that deep down he knows that they're just exploiting him for his popularity, just as MSNBC is currently doing by hosting all of these town halls. But nonetheless, I think Bernie Sanders is privy to what they're doing, and I think that he knows that he's not going to be silenced because they're trying to give him some power. And he was recently asked what he thinks the Democratic Party stands for, and his response was pretty harsh. He states, "You're asking a good question, and I can't give you a definitive answer. Certainly, there are people in the Democratic Party who want to maintain the status quo. They would rather go down with the Titanic so long as they have first-class seats." Damn. So Bernie Sanders, he's harsh in his criticism, but everything he says is constructive. He's not being malicious, even though he gets criticized still by the Clinton wing of the party for being too harsh on Democrats. What he's saying is common sense, and there's a reason why he's the most popular politician in America. It's because we believe him, and he's willing to be introspective and talk about the flaws of America. And even though Chuck Schumer has scolded Bernie Sanders and tried to convince him to not criticize Democrats, well, Bernie Sanders isn't listening, and it's because he shouldn't listen, because if you just allow Democrats to continue doing business as usual, we are going to have Republicans in office for a lot longer than we want, and also we're not going to have an effective opposition party. So they need to get their act together right now, and Bernie Sanders is the only one with a loud voice that's willing to call them out. Now, with him saying that he doesn't have an answer as to what they stand for, Chris Cillizza of the Washington Post explains why this is actually really significant. He says that Bernie's comments are remarkable. Not only did Sanders run for president in 2016 and win almost 24 states, but he also is now a member of the Democratic Senate leadership thanks to Minority Leader Charles Schumer. And when asked one of the simplest questions in all of politics, what does your party stand for, he admits that he can't really answer it. Part of that is simply for effect. Of course, Sanders can offer his own vision, a liberal one, of what the Democratic Party stands for and where it needs to go. He chooses not to because he views the party as still too in thrall of the power brokers, donors, and consultant class, and not committed enough to real change. By saying you don't really know what the party stands for, you are making sure people know you're not happy. And he should. We're not happy with the Democratic Party. A new poll was released that showed that the Democratic Party and Hillary Clinton have higher unfavorable ratings than Donald Trump and Mike Pence and the GOP. And this is because they not only are out of power because they screwed over progressives, but it's because they're not an effective opposition. It's because they're not listening. Even though Donald Trump is a disaster of a president, he at least showed that he is at least listening to some people. I don't believe him. I know he's a billionaire and he's out of touch, but some working class voters were duped over by him because he talked about these free trade deals that ship our jobs overseas. So he's tapping into something. Democrats, on the other hand, they have no clue what they stand for. Ask any Democrat right now what they stand for, and they have no idea. They'll say, we want to provide opportunity for everyone. We want equality. Well, that's great. Those are all platitudes, but I want specific, concrete policy details as to how you bring about this vision. One way you could do that is just focus on one policy, single-payer healthcare system. I guarantee you will be a lot more popular. If I see a politician, regardless if they're Democrat, Green, even Republican, just saying that they are running and their number one goal, if they're elected, will be to bring about a single-payer healthcare system, I support that person. Even if I disagree with them on other policy issues, that person just almost automatically has my support because I know that that person is tapping into something that we care about. So what Bernie Sanders is saying, it's the truth. When he talks about, reaching out to voters, talking to voters, it would behoove the Democratic Party to listen, but they don't want to listen. They channel all this energy into maintaining the status quo and crushing progressives. But if they spend half that time crafting a message that would resonate with the American people, they would at least be a somewhat effective opposition party, but they've proven that they are incompetent, and the Republicans are in control of all branches of government, and they really have no true check on power except for the American people, because Democrats, all they can do is talk about Donald Trump's personality, how he's unhinged, how he keeps lying. Yes, that's obvious. We all know Trump's lying, but you're not going to win anybody over unless you have a counter message that will resonate, and they don't have that. So Bernie Sanders is right to criticize them for not having a core message. They are the party of platitudes and they lack substance, and this is proving time and again that it's not helping them. So they don't want to listen, but they have to if they ever want to be electorally viable again. Because your base will not support you if you're not offering them anything. Give us, throw us a bone once in a while. Give the base some red meat. Give us a single-payer healthcare bill that you will push nonstop, relentlessly. But, I mean, they've got nothing. They've become so sold out and beholden to their corporate donors that they don't give a damn about us. So this is why I say it's time to move on from the Democratic Party. Bernie Sanders needs to lead a brand new party, or at least migrate to the Greens. So that way we get a party that can actually be a real check on Trump and the Democrats, who will give progressives some type of leverage.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.